we interrupt the internet with breaking news.
This just in, 6 hot dogs are about to race at Indy because apparently America looked at inflation, political collapse, and climate anxiety and said, you know what this country needs? Faster lunch. Pennsylvania is hosting a sky event made entirely of honking rage. And somewhere in Africa, a rhinoceros has better access to specialized health care than half the people watching us. Good evening, unless it's 2:13 a.m. and you're standing in the kitchen eating shredded cheese directly out of the bag. In that case, welcome home, you magnificent raccoon. I'm Bob, and this is the show where I fight the news, mostly because therapy is expensive and the news keeps swinging first. Tonight, Auto Racing asked the question no one needed answered. What if the car looked like a cry for help from a county fair? Oscar Mayer is bringing back the Wienie 500 because somewhere in a boardroom, a grown adult said, the nation is ready for competitive tube meet. All 6 Wienermobiles are racing. 6. That is not a sporting event. That is a lunchable fever dream. And it's happening during Carburation Day, which sounds less like racing and more like what Olive Garden calls an electrical fire. Carburation Day. Even the name sounds bloated. It sounds like a holiday where your reward for patriotism is bread, meat, and a medically concerning nap. And I love that this is at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, one of the most iconic racing venues in the country. A sacred cathedral of speed, a place of legends. And now, part of that legacy is, yes, this is where a 6-car pileup of giant hot dogs happened in front of families. The winner gets into the Wiener Circle, which is not a victory tradition. This is a phrase a corporate lawyer should have killed with a shovel. Also, imagine training your whole life to become an elite driver, only to get overtaken by a 27-foot Oscar Mayer mascot with the aerodynamics of a toddler's drawing. You didn't lose a race. You got humiliated by a meat parade. After one round, the news jumps ahead. Bob brought skepticism, but the hot dogs brought exactly the kind of low-stakes national stupidity America rewards. Nature has created a weather system made entirely of feathers, panic, and the sound of bicycle horns. 1 million snow geese gathered in Pennsylvania. 1 million. That is not migration. That is a hostile occupation by birds with anger issues. People wake up before sunrise to watch them take off, which means Pennsylvania has successfully launched a music festival for dads in fleece vests. They call it breathtaking, and sure, from a distance, maybe. But when 1 million geese rise into the sky at once, that is not majestic. That is what medieval peasants saw right before deciding a village was cursed. Geese are already nature's least necessary attitude. No one ever looked at a goose and thought, there goes a reasonable animal. A single goose acts like it pays taxes on the park. 1 million geese? That's not wildlife. That's an airborne dictatorship. And 150,000 people come out to watch? Bird watchers are hardcore. Respect. Real respect. Because it takes a special kind of commitment to stand in the freezing dark and whisper, oh my God, they're so beautiful. While the sky itself turns into a screaming liability waiver. And the sound must be unbelievable, like every parent at a youth soccer game realizing the ref is 14 years old. At a certain point, this stops being migration and becomes a coup. We are tied. Bob took fire from 1 million sky goblins and somehow kept his emotional windshield intact. Somewhere between veterinary care and absolutely hell not lives this story. A rhino in Zimbabwe needed eye drops, and specialists from a zoo in Florida helped design the plan. That sentence has everything: international coordination, medical ingenuity, conservation science, and one giant undercurrent of, boy, this could go wrong fast. Because a rhino is not a patient. A rhino is a bulldozer with trust issues. And yet, somehow this animal got a treatment plan, expert consultation, and a follow-up care. Meanwhile, most humans go to urgent care, get handed a clipboard, and die in a chair under a TV showing home renovation shows. The story says the treatment plan sounded ridiculous. Of course it did. Every rhino plan starts with the sentence, "Now, hear me out," and ends with somebody quietly updating their will. Okay, team, tiny challenge. We need to place medication directly into the eyeball of a panic-armored missile. That is not medicine. That is a deleted scene from the dumbest Mission Impossible movie ever. And a credit to the professionals, because my role in that operation would be standing behind 3 locked doors saying, "I believe in you guys deeply." But genuinely, good for them. The rhino is endangered, and saving it matters. Also, anytime humans use science to help an animal instead of turning it into a logo or a belt, that counts as personal growth. After 3 rounds, the News claws back the lead. Bob scored points for panic recognition, but the rhino picked up bonus sympathy and a strong outpatient gain. And now, 3 more headlines that feel less like journalism and more like someone lost a bet with reality. A 400-pound manatee got trapped in a Florida storm drain. Even sea cows are getting priced out and forced into infrastructure. Somewhere a manatee looked around the drain and thought, honestly, still calmer than the surface. The otters in Baltimore got a snow day, which is adorable, infuriating, and somehow better managed than most public school districts. There are human adults answering work emails through migraines, while an otter is belly sliding on company time like it had negotiated an excellent union contract. And finally, an Egyptian strongman pulled a 700-ton ship with his teeth, which is inspiring right up until every dentist within 100 miles feels a psychic disturbance and vomits into a sink. That's not strength. That's what happens when your body and your decision making stop speaking to each other. The bonus round blows this thing wide open. The News unloads storm drain manatees, leisure optimized otters, and maritime oral trauma. Bob is still standing, but spiritually in pieces. What we learned today? We learned that America will absolutely put 6 giant hot dogs on a racetrack and call it tradition. Pennsylvania can turn Sunrise into a Hitchcock sequel. Rhinos now have international eye care teams. Manatees are probing our drainage systems. Otters understand joy better than most executives. And somewhere in Egypt, a man saw a ship and thought, you know what? Mouth. Your winner, the News. Bob made a respectable run, but the judges awarded extra points for goose terrorism, rhinoceros ophthalmology, and processed meat reaching unsafe speeds. That's the show. Remember, in this country, 6 hot dogs can race at Indy, but your pharmacy still can't text you when your prescription is ready. Good night, stay weird, and on Carburation Day, may your buns be toasted and your arteries forgiven.